Greetings from the West, everybody. Hope you're having a great conference there in Ottawa. My name is Spence Laycock, and my wife and I, Marcy, have been working in church planning at Faith Community Church just north of Red Deer with a team of just great people who, without them, this church wouldn't have moved in the steps it's been able to move over these last 4 and even 5 years. Faith Community is going to be 5 years old in September, which means it's really kind of moving off the status of being a church plant to being a church moving into its next early steps of maturity. One of our heart's desires is to begin to strategize ways that we can identify where God wants to move next in Canada West in church planning. I think the answer to that's going to come certainly through prayer, and that's where you come in. Would you be willing to link arms with us in prayer and begin to pray that God would show us what are the next steps for church planning in Canada West? We've got our eyes on a number of communities. Certainly Saskatoon would be one of them, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton, and many of the cities in British Columbia. That would be just tremendous opportunities for doing church planning. But you know, church planning requires people. And so we're looking to raise up individuals who have a heart and a passion for church planning too. And funds are required as well, aren't they? You know, the issue of raising funds can sometimes be one of the biggest barriers, and sometimes one of the perceived barriers for churches even to participate in church planning. Let me encourage you that if church planning isn't a line item on your annual church's budget, that you'd really begin to reconsider that and begin to make even some small steps towards making that a reality. It says we all link arms in this, that church planning begins to take its next steps, certainly here in the West. One of the things we're really trying to do is put together a network of individuals from Manitoba through to Victoria who would be willing to strategize and be the eyes and ears of people on the ground for what might be our next opportunities in church planning. Certainly we see a number of opportunities coming up in smaller rural communities like Whitecourt, Alberta, and some other places like that. But our real hope and passion is we're going to see some urban areas develop for church planning in the next 2 to 5 years. Some of the cities that we know that have such great growth are going to be cities like Saskatoon, Winnipeg, Calgary, Edmonton. You know, statistics tell us that 80% of Canada lives within these new urban centers. And if we're going to reach people, that's going to be some places where some of our next church planning efforts are going to take place. So we ask that you would partner with us in prayer that way, that certainly for the churches in the East and the West, that you'd really consider collaborating in the aspect of fundraising for church planning. And also even as we begin to demographically nail down and target out which particular areas we want to go to, there's a lot of work ahead of us if church planning is going to take its next steps in Canada West. Canada East, doing a great job. Canada West, well, there's a lot more developmental work to take place. And boy, do we need your support and help in that process. So we thank you for taking just these few moments to listen to us, to consider some of the concerns and issues for us out here. Faith Community Church continues to grow ahead. You know, this coming Sunday, basically May 2nd, it's going to be old history by the time you see this video. But May 2nd is our second baptism service. Some child dedication services, some people coming into membership, some people becoming new Christians. Church planting is an exciting ministry, as our conventional styles of ministry as well. And we ask that God would just really continue to bless the work that God is doing in the AGC across Canada. Please pray for church planting in Canada West as we discern what God's next steps for us are, and then are faithful to engage them. Thanks, folks, and have just a great conference. Bye-bye for now.